Hello guys and girls and welcome back to Geekism. My name is Jonty and we're here in Planet Coaster with the final, and I really mean it now, final Let's Build of the Western area. I know I said the last one was going to be and that I was fill out these little bits just sort of in my own time, but I asked you guys what to do with this little space we have here, and one of the suggestions was to do a town hall in the making, sort of being built a la Back to the Future 3 style, and I loved the idea, and that's what we've gone and done here. I actually moved the whirligig, the chaeroplane, across to the other side, which meant we could have the town hall right in the middle of the main sort of street area. So as you come through the tunnel into the area, you see this town hall in front of you, and that's what we've gone for here. Inside, I've built a couple of stalls, one of the new drink stalls, Pip Shots Juice, I think it is, and an ice cream on the other side, and they're mostly just to get people into the building, really. And they don't necessarily need more shops here, but that's the best way of get people to go in. The idea is that they, in real life, they would be going in to look around in the building. It might be a small museum or something like that. So I'm well aware in Back to the Future 3, I'm a big fan of the series, by the way. Back to the Future 3, the town hall they're building is actually wooden. But frankly, I'd had enough of the wood in this area. We've built many wooden buildings here now, and so I've actually gone for a slightly more modern town hall building, but still sort of in the sort of Midwest American style, and it's actually very similar to the town hall from Back to the Future 1 and 2, which is basically what I've took as my reference point here. So the idea with this western area isn't truly Old West. It's more sort of Old West, but coming into the new. So we've still got some older themed areas with the oil train and the rapids and things like that. But there's the signs of a developing nation here with the town hall and the Western Promenade and things like that. And it kind of gives us a couple of different themes within the Western sort of umbrella theme. So I actually really enjoyed building this building, and I think, I don't like to blow my own trumpet too much, but I think it's probably one of the better things I've built in this game. And that's not because it's the most detailed, it's just because it looks exactly like what I wanted it to look like. It looks like an old town hall, and that that's exactly what I was going for. But I feel like I've managed to do it with what's the best way of putting it? Enough parts, not necessarily too many parts. The biggest problem I had here was getting the colours right. As I've mentioned before on the channel, I am colourblind. Luckily, my wife was nearby to point out that some of the colours were a bit off. One thing I have a real big trouble with is that when you highlight pieces to select them, it changes them, it makes them slightly lighter, and that can make it a little tricky with colours. I think what they should do there is, if you're highlighting a piece and you go into the colour selection, it should unhighlight them for a moment while you pick the colour. Sorry if the microphone knocked there, that was Oreo battering it. I think he's a bit upset because he wasn't shown on the last video. So here we're doing the top piece that will house the clock, and I've very much taken the theme from Back to the Future here of the clock not being in place yet, which is a feature of Back to the Future 3. I think is they're actually installing the clock. The clock, obviously the clock tower of the, I'm not using that one, I just wanted to see what the animation was like. The clock tower on top of the town hall features prominently in all of the movies. So that was the kind of the idea here. And then we fill out part of the roof as well. So yeah, the big comments we had in the last video, also like the most sort of liked comments, were some of the names for the areas, which we will go into in the next video. There's going to be a very short little couple of minutes long video where we just have a little overview of the whole area before we completely move on. So I'll show you what we've named some of the areas. All the names have come from comments in the last video. And the other big one was that a lot of people wanted to see some more of the animatronics here, which again I totally agree with. We've only used them very briefly on the mine train, and you probably wouldn't see them going so fast. So I wanted to use the animatronics here as well, and for quite a while I couldn't figure out how. But you'll see in a moment how we got around that problem. Using some of the stucco wall pieces here to create the roofing area. I think it turns out really nice at this. Like I say, I am really proud of this. It's probably one of my better builds so far. It just takes a moment to sort of line all these up. For some reason, using Control X made these come out at a slightly jaunty angle. I wasn't too sure why, but we got them down in the end. We lift that area. I've used one of the art pieces there to kind of represent where the clock will go. But you'll see later on what we end up doing with the clock. I was trying to use these pieces to sort of cap off the corners. In the end, it decided against it. So we end up just taking these pieces here and moving them, oh yeah, up and around the clock area there. So this is the last video in the western area. I'm going to probably have a little play around with it off camera still, just to kind of fill in a few gaps with trees, a little bit of lighting, things like that. But this is the last time we're going to be spending here in a video, apart from the, like I said, we're going to do a little overview video in a few days. And then we are going to be moving on to the pirates theme. So any suggestions for the pirate area are very welcome. Either ride suggestions, themed area suggestions, you know, just overall arching themes for the area as well. What kind of pirates zone would you like to see? I'm thinking sort of a cross between the sort of the British Imperials versus the pirates, which is sort of very classic, but then also you know, maybe trying to do it with a bit of a Latin theme as well, and using a lot of the stucco parts and things like that. So any suggestions, please pop them down in the comments. You know I like to, you know, use your guys' suggestions as much as possible. Excuse me. So yeah, castle pieces here on the bottom. I was careful not to overuse these because you didn't want this building looking too grand. Even though it is a stone building, it would be the centerpiece of this town. You know, you still don't want it to be too over the top because it's still meant to be built in the sort of mid-18th century, which is kind of the look I've gone for here, using lots of multiple windows to try and get the effect I wanted. Again, if you have a Google of the town hall in Back to the Future 1 or 2, you'll see where my inspiration has come from here. Here, spending a while just to have a look at some windows here. I noticed a lot of these old American town halls have sort of barred windows along the bottom, which I assume would have been jail cells, because obviously the town hall will most likely have been also used for a courtroom and things like that. So even though we have a sheriff's office in the promenade with a jail cell in here, maybe these would have been holding cells for people who are up against up in front of the judge or something like that. We managed to use those cool little window pieces there to create that effect. Having a little trouble with these. I wanted a couple of larger windows, trying to sort of use a few parts together. Couldn't really get anything I was happy with. Eventually realised that it was probably just easier to get rid of the big window and just use a couple of those together, and that worked out pretty well. And then we actually capped those off with some windowsills. You'll see me running through all the menu to try and find them. Never can find them. Window boxes, always forget what they're called, always forget where they are. Again, it's one of those pieces that really should be within building because they go on a wall, but you know, so there's no rhyme or reason to where parts are in this game sometimes. And then we finish off the roof here with this sort of stucco design, just take it all around. We don't really do anything to the sides of the buildings. They end up being pretty much covered with trees. But we do something to the back of the building, which has now pretty much become the queue for the chairplane. So you'll see there that the queue runs right along the back of the building, and rather than just a big expanse of building, I wanted to do something. So we figured out a way of using animatronics with our new town hall building. We decided to do a bit of a jailbreak scene, or even a robbery. You know, they're trying to get hold of the safe or something. I don't really know what, but you know, I wanted to have an explosion here with the back as if the wall had broken down. So we used a couple of the art pieces there to create a sort of tunnel area, because obviously there's a shop right behind this, so we couldn't just have it open and you just see the back of the shop. So instead we used the art pieces there to create a bit of a black space. We run around with these rocks here. Takes me a little while to get those looking right. There we go. I was just popping in to see whether or not they chipped into the shop or not. We very loosely decorate the inside of the building there just to neaten those up. And then we had this other animatronic that we've not used. There's this exploding barrel. This thing's fantastic. We'll probably end up using that within the pirate area as well, but I thought it fit really nicely. The idea of having some dynamite sort of strung up to the barrel using these wires, and you know, as a way of getting into the back of the town hall. And we had a few bandits on this side, and the nice thing is with these ones you can change their colours. So we sort of darkened these guys to make them obviously the bad guys, and then we had a few of the cowboys on the other side of the area with lots of lighter colours to make it look like they're the good guys, although you can't change the colour of their hats, so we can't have black hats versus white hats here, unfortunately. So instead we have black shirts versus light shirts. Here we go. We had a couple of these guys here, again just sort of spreading them around, giving them different actions. And then we wanted something they could hide behind. There we go, give that one a light blue shirt. Something they could hide behind. It takes me a little while to find something I like the look of. I think we end up going for like an upturned wagon. I don't know why I'm out of the game for so long here. There we go. So we'll look around for a few different options here. I was looking for like one of the caravan pieces or the mine train. First of all, we had a minecart over there just while I found it. Originally was going for that, but it was a little high, and also we've used that piece to death, to be honest, in this area. So instead, I kind of go for an upturned minecart, upturned wagon even, that they kind of hide behind instead. Let's give them a bit of cover. Now here, I spent ages looking for it. I was pretty sure there was a gunshot special effect, as in a gun ricocheting off a wall. Looked everywhere for it, went through them multiple times. You can see here, searching for things, can't find it at all. Eventually find it. It's called laser ricochet or something, and I realise it looks awful, so I get rid of it. It looks too electric. There's like electric sparks. I thought it was just like a generic little explosion. I end up realised there that explosion I've put in is a bit too much because it's filling the inside of the building as well. So I end up getting rid of that, and we just keep that one in the barrel, which is fine. Bit of smoke coming off it as well, and this way the inside of the building looks fine as well. We copy the windows over, get rid of those ones, and just duplicate them into the middle. Nothing too fancy here really. The main drawer there is going to be the animatronics, and the same with the top windows as well. And that's pretty much it for the building. Then we need to make it look like it's still being built, or at least repaired. Maybe looks a little bit too finished to being built, but maybe it's just a case of it being repaired, or we're adding a new clock or something like that. But I wanted to use some of these awesome scaffolding pieces to give that impression. And obviously the animatronic clock is going to be sit and resting there, ready to be placed in. It's actually huge. There's no way it would fit in the gap it's going into, but we'll let that pass. And then we end up just covering these last few bits here with some roof pieces and bits of wood and things. So it just looks like the building's been either finished or repaired or something like that. Just like the fact it gives us a little bit more character than having the building completely finished, and it helps fit within the Western theme. That it's not a finished building. You know, this is a slightly more modern building than the rest of them, so the fact that we're showing that it's being built sort of dates it almost, I suppose. These sort of buildings obviously still stand now and are still being used now, so by showing that it's being built, it kind of dates the area a little bit. And we finish off. I had a little trouble here just sort of neatening up these sort of fake stairs that I'd built. On the outside of them had got a bit of a nasty gap. But luckily I found these sort of castles. These are really sort of useful, these castle pieces. You can do so much with them. So we end up building a little sort of shelf, sort of, edge area there with a couple of pillar pieces. And I think we end up chucking a light on there as well. And then it's just a case of copying those over to the other sides to cap off the edge. I realised that the lamp was a little bit in the way there, so I thought we'd make it look like it's not quite been fitted, that one. Just these little touches that sort of add a little bit of character to the building. A little bit more scaffolding, and then we're going to come around the back and add up some trees. So that's pretty much the end of the town hall build. There is a little bit more footage though. It's just a few little miniature jobs that I wanted to do around the area that you'll see now. A bit more scaffolding just as you're going in, just to help break that. There's pretty much a big expansive wall above the doorway that I wanted to fix, so a bit more scaffolding sort of fills that gap and adds a bit of layering. And we finish off again just to try and tie it in with the Western theme a little bit more. We go for some sort of classic American flagging, just to sort of tie it all together like so. Okay, so last few little jobs we wanted to do. There's just a few things that have been bugging me for a while. One of them is I wanted to add sort of like a few features that make it look like an actual theme park. It's sort of things that only we will see and the guests won't. So things like fire exits, dustbins, aircon units, all those sort of things. So we're going to go around there once we finish off theming this small area at the front. Again, with just some tools and building equipment, we're going to do those. I've just remembered the other thing we did was finish off at this fountain. And a few people suggested we do like a stucco fountain, similar to sort of like you would find in a Mexican town. But again, it doesn't really fit the rest of the theme because the rest of the theme is very much a Midwest. And also, we're probably going to go very sort of heavy stucco and Latino theming for the pirate area. So we didn't do that. Instead, I don't really know what you would call this. It's very much a theme park type of fountain. It looks kind of real, but not really. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but this idea is like the the horse has bolted and thrown all of its cargo into the drinking water, and we just sort of create a fountain over that. So I think it looks the part in the end, but if you ask me what it is, I have no idea. We finish it off with a few just sort of water spouts as it goes round. There we go. Okay, so yeah, a few more bits then, just round the back of the chair plane. Obviously, we moved that round, so we need to fill in the area. And I also had a go at creating a good couple of berms, which is a new term to me, but somebody pointed out in the last video that we could use berms. And basically, they're sort of small hilled areas that sort of cap off different areas. So we use that a little bit there, and also a little bit around the back of the hyperspin. And then again, it's mostly just foliage now. We put a little bit of scaffolding just to tie the back in with the front, and then we add some awesome aircon units to the top of the building here. Again, you've just got to make sure that they can't be seen from the floor, which these ones can't. And there's also some sci-fi piping that I think look great as sort of exhaust points. So we add those on as well, and then we just go over the whole area and add a few of these in to different places, and we add that there with a fire door, finish off a bit of wall that's missing there for some reason, and the good old recycling bin. And these are just tiny little details that probably nobody will ever notice, but it's the sort of thing that makes me happy. And then we cap off just a few areas where sort of surfaces meet that just need covering up a little. So here with some creosote bushes and cacti, things like that. And again, with a couple of aircon units on the promenade. So we will do an overview of the whole area in the next video. Like I say, just a short little video to cap off the area. But one thing we'll do now is show you a couple of glamour shots of the new build, which is the town hall, which really sort of finishes off the area and almost acts as like a little weenie, I guess, the area, if you want to use a buzzword for that. So there we go. Really happy with it. Like I say, it's a little bit more modern than a sort of typical Wild West build. But I think that overall the area has become a little sort of newer. I'm thinking more sort of like mid-18th century as opposed to a little bit earlier. And there we go. You can see around the back there the animatronics. Right, that's all I've got time for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a like. It really does help out the channel. And if you're not already, please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.